There's something about the open road at night. The way the darkness swallows the horizon. The way every headlight in the distance feels like it's meant for you. For most people, a road trip is adventure and freedom. But for the unlucky few, it's a one-way drive straight into a nightmare. Tonight, you're about to hear 3 disturbing true road trip horror stories. The kind that start with something small, something you almost dismiss, until it's too late to turn back. In Story 1, a young couple notices a pair of headlights in their rearview mirror that just won't go away. No matter where they turn, the car follows, until the driver finally shows them why. In Story 2, 2 friends get lost in the Appalachians and stumble onto a stretch of road that shouldn't exist. The mile markers climb higher and higher, the locals carry strange signs, and a warning written in wood might be the only thing keeping them alive. And in Story 3, a late-night stop for gas turns into a nightmare chase across the desert. But the man pursuing them isn't just fast. He's not even human. Buckle up, because once these stories start, you won't be able to get out. Story 1, The Car Behind Us. It was past midnight when Daniel and Claire left the roadside diner, a neon-lit speck in the middle of an endless black highway. Their road trip had already stretched too long. What was supposed to be a 7-hour drive had turned into 10, thanks to construction and wrong turns. The road was empty, or so they thought. Claire noticed it first. "Daniel, there's a car behind us." In the rearview mirror, a pair of headlights gleamed far back on the dark road. They weren't gaining, but they weren't falling back either. Just following. They laughed it off at first, playing road trip games, turning up the music, convincing themselves it was a coincidence. But 30 minutes later, the headlights were still there. Daniel switched lanes. So did the car. He slowed down. The car slowed down. A cold knot began forming in Claire's stomach. "Maybe it's just going the same way," she whispered, but even she didn't believe it. They tried to lose it, took a random exit into a small rural town, sped through 2 intersections, and turned sharply onto a side road with no lights. For a moment, they thought they'd done it. The headlights vanished, but then, out of the pitch black, the lights blinked on again, closer this time. The following car kept its distance but never let them out of sight. Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. Claire fumbled for her phone, but there was no service. The road narrowed, turning into a twisting rural lane, flanked by dense woods. And then the worst thing happened. Daniel's gas light flickered on. They had 2 choices: stop at the next gas station and risk whatever was in that other car, or keep driving into the dark, praying for a miracle. When they finally saw the dim yellow glow of a small gas station up ahead, they pulled in. The other car slowed, then parked across the road, engine running, lights aimed directly at them. Daniel got out, pretending to stretch, heart hammering in his chest. Claire kept her eyes locked on the car. The driver's side window rolled down, but the face inside was hidden in shadows. And then it smiled. Daniel filled the tank as quickly as possible, every nerve in his body screaming. The driver didn't move, just sat there, engine idling, headlights burning into them. Claire hissed, "Let's just leave." But when Daniel got back in the car and pulled away, the other vehicle followed instantly. It stayed closer now, too close. Claire turned around and saw the driver, pale skin, unmoving expression, and eyes so wide they looked inhuman. They sped up, but the road ahead split into 2 narrow lanes. Daniel swerved right. The other car followed. The speedometer climbed. 80, 90. Suddenly, the woods broke, revealing an old metal bridge barely wide enough for one car. Daniel floored it. The other car matched his speed, riding their bumper. Halfway across the bridge, the driver leaned out the window, grinning, holding something in their hand. It glinted in the moonlight. A set of car keys. Daniel didn't have time to process it before the driver slammed into their bumper. The impact jolted them forward. Claire screamed as the bridge rails scraped against their car. Daniel swerved desperately and shot off the bridge. They didn't stop driving until they reached a motel, panting and shaking. In the morning, they stepped outside to find their car door ajar. Nothing was stolen, but on the passenger seat sat a set of identical keys to their car. No note, no tracks, just the sense that whoever followed them wasn't finished. Story 2, Mile Marker 313. Ethan and Marissa were 6 hours into their road trip through the back roads of Appalachia when they saw it. Mile Marker 313. It was odd because the road wasn't supposed to go that high. The last marker they'd passed was 212. The sign was bent, its white numbers barely visible under peeling black paint. But just beyond it, the asphalt seemed different. Darker, smoother, almost wet. Though it hadn't rained in days, they were lost. GPS had died an hour ago, and their phones were useless this deep in the hills. They could have turned back, but the road ahead dipped into a valley, lined with tall, skeletal trees swaying without wind. "Let's just push through," Ethan muttered, and they drove on. The first strange thing was the silence. No birds, no crickets, not even the hum of insects against the windshield. The second was the houses. They began to appear along the roadside. Old wooden shacks, sagging and blackened with rot, but with their windows wide open. Not a single curtain, not a single light. Just yawning black holes staring at the road. At the next bend, Marissa spotted a woman standing in front of one of the houses. She was tall, dressed in an old-fashioned calico dress, and holding something in her hands. It took a second for them to realize she was holding a small wooden sign that read, "Don't stop." Ethan glanced in the rearview mirror. The woman hadn't moved, but now there were 2 more people standing in the doorway of the next shack, both watching silently as they passed. They kept driving. Every 100 feet or so, another figure appeared. On porches, by mailboxes, in the middle of fields, all holding signs. Some said, "Keep driving." Others said, "Don't look back." Marissa's voice trembled. "Ethan, what is this?" The air was thicker now, like driving through invisible fog. The road kept winding deeper into the valley, but the mile markers ahead were wrong. 314, 315, 316. And then ahead in the distance they saw something that made Ethan's hands clamp onto the wheel. A procession of people stretched across the road. Dozens of them, all in black, standing shoulder to shoulder, blocking the way forward. As they got closer, Ethan slowed instinctively. That's when every person in the line raised their sign at once. "Stop now." Ethan's foot hovered over the brake, but Marissa grabbed his arm. "Don't stop. Every other sign told us not to." The line of people ahead stood motionless, faces hidden beneath wide-brimmed black hats. They weren't moving, but somehow. They were closer than they had been a moment ago. Ethan swore they'd gained 5 feet without taking a single step. He swerved onto the shoulder to go around them, but the moment the tires left the asphalt, the car lurched violently. The engine sputtered, the steering wheel locked in place. In the rearview mirror, the road behind them was gone. No curve, no trees, just black. like a wall of nothing stretching across where they had come from. "Ethan?" Marissa's voice was barely a whisper. The people in the road had dropped their signs. Slowly, in perfect unison, they lifted their heads. Every face was pale, paper white, and missing eyes. The sockets were dark holes, and something inside them seemed to shift. The first figure in the center stepped forward. His mouth opened too wide, and his voice didn't match his lips. It was deep, wet, and impossibly close, as if it was coming from inside the car. "You should have stopped." A low hum began vibrating through the ground, the kind of bone-deep sound that made Ethan's teeth ache. The other figures started walking toward the car, slow but synchronized, their heads tilting at unnatural angles. Marissa screamed, and Ethan floored the gas. The car didn't move. The hum grew louder. The air felt like it was pressing in from every direction. And then, one by one, the figures began pointing into the forest on their right. Through the trees, Ethan saw movement. Not people. Things. Tall, wrong-shaped silhouettes weaving between the trunks, faces stretched like melting wax. Each step they took made the hum rise higher until the pressure in his skull was unbearable. Marissa was sobbing now, hands over her ears. "Please, please, please." Ethan yanked the wheel hard to the left, straight toward the figures in the road. He expected to hit them. Instead, the world flashed white. The car was suddenly rolling, calmly, down a familiar stretch of highway. No black-hatted figures, no mile markers past 212. Ethan pulled over, shaking. Marissa was breathing hard, staring at something in her lap. It was a wooden sign, fresh paint. "Welcome back." Ethan looked up and froze. In the distance, just barely visible in the rearview mirror, was mile marker 313, standing exactly where they had just driven. Only this time, someone was standing beside it, holding a new sign. "See you next time." Story 3, Rest Stop 66. It was 2:14 a.m. when Tyler's gas light blinked on. The next town was 30 miles away, and the last pump they'd passed had been out of order. Then he saw it, a faded green sign. Rest Stop 66-1 mile. Relief flooded him. The road had been nothing but empty desert for hours. His girlfriend, Jenna, was asleep in the passenger seat, curled under a blanket, her phone dead. Tyler didn't wake her. The rest stop appeared like an oasis in the dark, a low building with flickering yellow lights and a single row of vending machines. An old rusted pickup truck sat in the corner of the lot. No driver in sight. Tyler pulled in, killed the engine, and stepped out into the warm desert night. That's when he noticed it. There was no sound, not even wind. He walked to the vending machine for a soda, fumbling for change. A loud thud echoed from the darkness beyond the restrooms. "Hello?" No answer. The sound came again. This time it was closer. Tyler's instincts screamed at him to leave, but his curiosity pushed him forward. He rounded the corner and found nothing. Just the shadowy outline of the desert, stretching away under the moonlight. He turned back and froze. Someone was standing by his car. The figure was tall, wearing a hood and facing Jenna's side of the vehicle. Slowly they pressed a hand against the window, leaving a long, smeared print. "Hey!" Tyler shouted, running forward. The figure didn't flinch, didn't even look at him. Instead, they leaned down, placing their face against the glass. So close their breath fogged it. Jenna jolted awake, saw the figure, and screamed. Tyler reached for the door handle, but the figure stepped back into the shadows, swallowed by the dark. He jumped into the car, locked the doors, and started the engine. Jenna was shaking. "Tyler." He was smiling. "Did you see it?" They tore out of the lot, tires squealing, the rest stopped shrinking in the rearview mirror. 5 miles later, Tyler's headlights caught movement ahead. A figure standing in the middle of the road. It was the same hooded man. Tyler slammed the brakes, tires screaming. The hooded man didn't move. He just stood there, head tilted slightly, like he was studying the car. "Go around him," Jenna shouted, her voice cracking. Tyler swerved into the opposite lane, gunning the engine. As they passed, the man turned his head slowly, tracking them with that same fixed smile Jenna had described. They sped away, hearts pounding. Tyler kept glancing in the mirror, half expecting the man to be gone. But he wasn't. He was running. Not just running, keeping up. His legs blurred, feet pounding the asphalt with unnatural speed, his face bobbing in the glow of the tail lights. "Tyler." Jenna's scream was cut off by a loud bang on the rear window. A spiderweb of cracks exploded across the glass. Tyler floored it, hitting 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. The man fell back, then vanished completely into the night. They didn't slow down for 10 minutes. Tyler's hands were slick on the wheel. Jenna kept twisting around, checking the back seat. Finally, they saw a glowing diner sign up ahead. Tyler pulled into the gravel lot, the tires crunching under the sudden silence. They ran inside, breathless, slamming the door behind them. The place was empty, except for a lone waitress wiping the counter. She looked up and frowned. "You two look like you've seen a ghost." Tyler tried to explain. The rest stop, the man, the chase. But the waitress just stared at him. "You said rest stop 66? She asked slowly. "Yeah," Tyler said, "just a few miles back." The waitress's face drained of color. "That stop's been closed for 30 years. No one goes there anymore. Not since." She stopped herself, glancing toward the dark windows. A sudden movement outside caught Jenna's eye. Her stomach dropped. The hooded man was standing in the gravel lot, just beyond the glow of the diner's neon sign. Still, watching. The waitress stepped back. "You need to get away from here, now." Tyler and Jenna ran for the back door, fumbling with the handle. But it wouldn't open. The lights in the diner flickered. When they came back on, the hooded man was inside. He stood between them and the front door, his smile stretching impossibly wide. Slowly he reached up and pulled back his hood. It wasn't a face. Not really. It was skin stretched over nothing, like a mask, with deep hollows where eyes should be. And underneath that thin layer of skin, something moved. The last thing Jenna remembered before everything went black was the smell. Warm asphalt and gasoline, and the man's voice low and sharp in her ear. "See you at the next stop." Out there, beyond the safety of streetlights and crowded highways, the road can feel endless. But as these stories prove, it's not always the distance you should fear. It's what, or who, is traveling it with you. A car that knows every turn you take. A road that shouldn't exist. A stranger who can outrun an engine. The next time you find yourself driving late at night, pay attention to the small things. The lights in your rear view, the signs on the side of the road, the faces you see, and the ones you wish you didn't. Because sometimes the most terrifying part of a road trip is making it home and realizing something might have followed you back. If you enjoyed these disturbing true horror stories, don't forget. There are more waiting for you. Stories that are darker, stranger, and far more unsettling than anything you've heard tonight. So keep your doors locked, Keep your lights on, and if you see a rest stop that shouldn't be there, drive right past it. I'll see you on the next road.